busy season because he runs the Chris Kindle Market, said, I won't be cooking in December, so these things will go home and be parceled, and at least I'll get decent food. So he was pleased that nobody wanted to eat.
He cherishes his mom's leftovers.
Well, he's a good sport and took them off my hands. And, we got to do things like the classic leftovers, great batch of soup. And my sister recently moved to Indianapolis from Lawrenceburg, so we've been taking her goodie packages and
Well, nice.
all kinds of fun stuff.
Well, now we're getting ready for Christmas and the New Year. Can you believe it?
It's sneaking up a little too rapidly. Had some conversation with my daughter yesterday who has the grands, and I'm like, you haven't given me any suggestions. They're all boys.
Oh, my. You're 9 days away.
Yeah. And I said, if not, I'll get them fun things. It'll drive you crazy because it'll be junk. So she finally came up with a list, and then I had to laugh. Paul said yesterday, "So what did she suggest?" And I said, "Oh, that they would like a 3D printer." And his eyes rolled back in his head, and he went, "Right." I said, "I know. She has stars in her eyes." I mean, come on, Emily. The other Emily.
Yes.
So we might have chuckled and made fun a little bit, but we're getting it done, and today will be the crack it out and get it done and wrap it up because we got a few other things that happen between now and then, so we need to get this done.
Get it done. Well, my niece and nephew were kind of dragging their feet on their list, and so I gave them a deadline, and I said, and if it's not in by then, you get underwear. Like, that's how this works.
Good motivator.
Good motivator. Listen,
I
got the list.
There you go.
Underwear was not on either one of their lists. So.
No, I bet not.
No.
I bet not.
So.
Yeah. So there you go. And when you have a 12-year-old, they're too cool. And they are very selective about what they might want. And, the 5-year-old, it's whatever you saw that day. I'll take this, and then tomorrow it'll be something different, and so on and so forth. But, most of it's done. I also, of course, give plants as gifts. A big surprise there. So, had purchased some amaryllis bulbs and got those started and have distributed a couple of them. And hopefully those people will enjoy them in January, which is the intention. And, they come with support instructions. And but all is looking good. And a lot of people would say, so do I need to worry about my gardens with freezing weather? And the short answer is no. If everything has gone to bed the way it should, which is, leave the stuff that drops from the trees on the garden beds, let them have a nice blanket. Then that snow cover comes. It keeps them secure, well insulated. The stuff that's really hard on garden beds is about to come this week. It's when you have the sudden warm, and then you refreeze, and then you warm, and then because that can cause what's called heaving, which is when plants actually will lift out of the ground from the freeze and thaw. Most often that'll happen to perennials that were planted late in the season. So if you planted earlier in the season and everything was good and secure and had time for root growth, I don't think you'll need to worry too much. So instead of worrying about your garden or being enslaved to some tedious chores, now's the time that, all of us need to de-stress during holiday time. We hear a lot about it. We read a lot about it. But most of us would go outside and play in the dirt to de-stress. Well, you can play in the dirt inside. freshen up your house plants just by, take a garden fork. You, you can even take your kitchen fork as long as you don't tell the ruler of the household that you did this, and make sure you wash it when you're done.
And you just called a garden fork.
That's right.
Yeah.
You just say, this is Tuesday's garden fork. And just kind of scratch the dirt and loosen it. Sometimes in our house plants, just as outside, you can get a kind of a crusty crust on the top of the soil, and less likely to percolate the water when you water and so forth. And everybody's going to say, I don't have time. I don't have time. If you're getting ready to take a shower and you have a corner of your tub area or your shower area where you can place a plant or two while you're showering, you can cover the soil with some plastic, or, one of those bags you shopped and filled this last couple of weeks, and just let them benefit from being in the shower. Their leaves will get cleaned off, the humidity will refresh them, and it really was not a lot of effort. You carry them in, you carry them back out when you're done. The end.
And would you do this like once a week, once a month?
Oh, once or twice during the winter.
Okay.
It just is.
It's a refresher.
It's a refresher, and we forget, unless we look on a table next to a sunny window, how there is dust everywhere, and plants get dusty too. And I think a quick spritz in the shower, or even if you have one of those sprayers at your kitchen sink, you can take them over that and you can just spray the leaves off. And you don't even have to get the dirt wet or mess with loosening that up. And it refreshes them. It doesn't take even a minute to get that done. And the benefit far outweighs, because once that dust is gone, the leaves breathe better. They can absorb sunlight and do their photosynthesis better. And in general, the plant is happier and healthier, less susceptible to pests and bugs and annoying things, because when the air gets dry and the plants get stressed, then it's like, come and get me. All the little vulnerable aphids and annoying mites and things that can be troublesome in indoor plants are opportunistic, and out they come looking for an easy ride and a quick meal, and then they ruin your favorite plant. So that's a little gardening refreshment that's easy. And then, of course, as soon as Christmas occurs, it used to be, because everything was in print material, the deluge of the catalogs would ensue. But now, of course, they'll come electronically. There'll be some that come in the mail. I think the companies know which of us still like print material by our age group demarcation. And so they still send us pretty pictures that we can thumb through and dog ear pages and all that. But electronically, you can find all kinds of choices. You can literally do a search on geraniums and see what new colors and combinations and varieties are going to be on the market for 2026. And maybe you want to rethink what you'll do in the springtime, because before we know it, it'll be fun time.
Now's your time to plan. You're inside. It's cold. You can't go outside.
And I'm a big believer, get a scrap piece of paper, or if you're really particular, get graph paper and sketch out, measure and sketch out, a bed that you want to do some work on. And, there are some very basic principles that you follow when you're doing that. Of course, you want tall things in the back, medium in the middle, lower in the front. Many of the bigger seed companies actually, either in their catalogs or on their websites, have planting guides. And you can type in like succession gardening for summer in the Midwest. And you would get a list of plants that you could have, so that, and they kind of hide each other as leaves fade. Whatever you had blooming early in the spring then gets replaced either by perennials or annuals as you go along. And then, you can have color all summer long. Some color will be more dominant and easier because there are certain times of year. I mean, if you want yellow in the middle of summer, that won't be a problem. But if you want some of the other more, lavenders and that sort of thing, it might be more likely you're going to get those in the spring and the fall, because a lot of those are with cooler plants that don't like those hot nights. So, but there are guides available. You don't have to do all the homework and work yourself. And never forget, we have a wonderful resource in our county, which is the public library. And they have wonderful books. And, on one of these dreary gray days in January, go over there and spend a couple of hours and thumb through some books, decide which ones you want to take home, and get some more information, and just have a happy dream day. It makes us all get a lift and get re-energized to do our daily chores. And
you can pretend like it's 80 degrees outside and you're sweating while you're planting your flowers.
Exactly, but no soreness.
That's right. It's great.
I mean, it won't hurt. And then if you were really, really bored, come the early part of January, a lot of people, they're not quite ready to take their decorations down because it looks so beautiful. And when they first come down, it looks pretty empty.
It's kind of depressing, isn't it?
Almost. And so while you're letting them linger, that's a great time to just maybe go out in the garage. You could even bring them in the house if nobody's watching you get dirty things in the house. And freshen up some of your tools. A little steel wool, little mineral oil. Get any rust off, check handles to see if they're wooden handles, if there are splinters, sand them. You could even give them a little coat of paint or varnish. I have one friend who's a great gardener in Brownsburg, and she gave a talk one time to our garden club, and she painted all of the handles of her tools obnoxiously loud colors, because she was tired of maybe laying them down and then running over them with a mower.
Oh, so this way they can be seen well.
You can spot them, and if you're working in a group on a civic project, you know exactly which tools are used, and they don't walk off in somebody else's pocket.
I throw a little glitter on them just to sparkle
snazz
them
it up.
Yeah.
And of course, if you didn't even want to worry with paint, they now have duct tape in every color and design, so you could snazz it up and be styling.
There's lots of choices.
Absolutely.
That makes me think when we were growing up, my grandpa on my dad's side would always give us like the yellow work gloves for outside at Christmas time. Everybody got a pair. And I have two brothers, and mine inevitably would just end up gone. Right?
Imagine that.
So one year I thought, I got out my puffy paint and I put my name on them and I decorated them up a little bit. And do you know?
They didn't disappear.
They did not disappear. No.
I love it.
Yes. So you do what you got to do.
We could start a trend where you bedazzle your garden gloves.
We could. We could have a workshop with this, Sarah.
There you go. I might have a fetish. There is a particular type of glove that I really like that is breathable on the back of the hand, and it has some leather reinforcement on the palm and the fingers, for good grip and so that I don't get stuck with thorns and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And I might have enough of a fetish that I might have them in 5 different colors.
Oh, well, it depends on your mood, right?
Very well said. Very well said.
It's kind of how my shoes are. Like, depending on my mood, depends on what shoes I want to wear.
And then I'm kind of maybe been accused of being a little crazy, maybe, because the blue ones go with the mower.
Oh, I see.
And the purple ones go with the cart that hauls things.
The stuff away.
And,
Okay.
You know, red is for guests. So that's probably crossed the line a little bit.
I don't think so. I get on that boat with you, but not everybody rides our boat. That's the
Well,
problem.
Sorry about their luck.
Paul wouldn't be accusing you of that, would he?
No, there are quiet eye rolls.
I see.
And like he actually has his favorites too because they're heftier.
Yes.
Or, manly tough. I don't need gloves.
Oh, yes, of course.
And it's like, okay, whatever you think.
I think we're on a trend, though. I think we might bedazzle some gloves this early spring,
Yeah, and now it's been on the radio. The Kardashians are going to embellish it.
Of course.
And they're going to make $20 jillion.
And here we are.
From our idea, and you'll still be here working, Emily. I'm
That's
sorry.
right. It's what's going to happen. But
we can say, I remember when
that's
we started that.
And we
trend.
have it on YouTube. Like, so
there
it's
you
recorded.
go. We got proof.
We have proof that it came from us.
With a date stamp.
That's right. Absolutely.
Wow, what fun times. So before I am remiss, I do want to wish everybody in Radio Land a very happy holiday. And I hope if you have a live tree, that you are still watering it daily and checking it, because the last thing we need is to create a hazard that could ruin a holiday. So keep those live things well humidified and moist. If you have garlands on your mantle that are live, spritz them with some clear water every day. It'll help them retain their needles so there'd be less mess. It also helps them from drying out and becoming a fire hazard. So do take care of those kind of things. And I'm wondering if there's anyone out there in Radio Land that has certain memory triggers of Christmases of days gone by, whether it's when I thought of it one day when we were downtown shopping. There are certain smells that might trigger memories. There might be certain music, and I'm just curious if anybody has any of those kind of stories they might want to share with us today. Then just call into the radio station. We'd be glad to hear about them. Or if you have general gardening questions, if we don't know the answer, we'll make it up and make sure you get taken care of.
You can call us at 812-663-8733. Now, so I was in a store yesterday, and their poinsettias were marked down to $2. Now, I did not buy one because I do have this tendency that I think I need to get these plants and save them.
She's going to save the world.
I'm going to save the world. I did save the Christmas cactus, from last year, and it's still blooming, so I'm ecstatic about that.
You can brag on that one ongoing.
So, if other people are in the stores and see like the poinsettia or the Christmas cactus that needs a little extra love, what do we need to be doing to make them, thrive?
Well, be picky about that bargain.
Okay.
It's funny you bring it up. We talked about this in Garden Club when we had our little luncheon last week. Somebody had seen some and thought, oh, that looks nice. And they picked it up, and there was actually water in the plastic foil that kind of covered the pot. So it was standing in water, and that would be worrisome because probably those roots are rotting.
It's done.
Yeah, if it's dry and just looks a little wilty, probably a good drink of water coming home would be worth your $2 investment. If you could flick the leaves and they drop, you're not going to save that one. It's already too far
It's
dry.
too far
Yeah,
gone.
right.
So just be really picky about what you
Be
get.
very picky. I mean, they don't want to take care of them anymore, so they are priced to move. So if there are decent plants, and the example you gave the last time we talked about your Christmas cactus, those are the bargains to be had because they really are tough. And if it, maybe a branch broke off, so it's not as aesthetic to sell right now because it's lopsided.
Sure.
You can bring that home. You can do a little pinch and haircut, and refresh it with, some TLC, some more regular watering, some very bright indirect light, and it will repay you. Now, it's not going to repay you by January 1st, but it's going to develop, and you're going to have a great plant, and you will have gotten it for a steal. We sometimes adopt old orchids, which is a little bit trickier. The blooms may be spent, but if the plant itself is still robust and feels fleshy and doesn't have any withering or brown leaves, then we'll bring it home. We'll give it new bark, because you do use orchid bark and not soil for orchids, and make sure that there's drainage. And, in about a year's time, it'll send up a new bloom stalk and be good to go. Sometimes you have to really inspect and trim back some soggy, mushy roots, because often those are not cared for by people that actually know anything about how to take care of them, because it's just keep them, sell them, move them.
It's amazing, the patience. Just have to be patient. I've learned that with this last little project.
Exactly.
I have to say, I was over at Expressions on Friday, and Chris had, I don't know if she still has them. There were two of them. They're a Christmas cactus, but they're coral. I've never seen that color.
Ooh,
Beautiful.
Nice color.
Yes.
That sounds like it's worth a visit.
That's right. Exactly.
Now, if you're going to get plants on a day like today, and hopefully not yesterday, just make sure that you cover them, because even walking out the door into your car, we want to not shock them, or at least shock them as little as possible. That's probably a more accurate way of saying it. But either take some old grocery bags in your car if you know you're going to go on a little plant hunt, and cover the tops, and make sure that's your last stop, because then if they're going to sit in the car when it's 20 degrees and you're going to go to the grocery for an hour, you are pushing your luck.
Gets a little tough.
Well, you're just asking them to be a lot tougher than they might be able to. So keep that in mind, and timing of your shopping visits is everything. But if you're aware that, hey, I'm going to run out, I mean, Paul goes to Rural King many times a week. I'm not sure if it has anything at all to do with the popcorn, but just saying.
Dr. Anamias, I'm with you.
He has regular reports on when they're closing something out.
I see.
And it's like, okay, if that's your last stop, yes, you can bring that home. That'd be great. But
that popcorn just draws us in, Sarah.
I know. And I love popcorn. I hate having it stuck in my teeth.
Yes, that is an issue.
I know. Wah, wah, wah. But, and theirs always just smells so good.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's a little more flavorful, than just popping it at home or popping something in the microwave. Not quite the same.
Get a plant and popcorn. It is a great day.
There you go. Happens. I totally love it. Absolutely true.
You were talking about some Christmas memories. Can you share with us one of your favorites?
I have funny random ones. I was the youngest, so there was much protection of me in the Christmas spirit of things um, by my older siblings and that sort of thing. And one of my memories is, and you know how you're so full of anticipation. You know, you're trying to be so good because you better be good and you better watch out. And I remember we always had a live tree until many of us eventually started breaking out so much we had to replace it when I was probably a young teenager. And we would have this Charlie Brown tree in our basement with the ugliest paper ornaments that you've ever seen in your life, but the kids could decorate it however they wanted because, of course, it would not be seen publicly.
That's right.
So, generous mom that she was said, sure, go ahead. And I have this memory, and my dad came and went all hours of the night. He was a physician, so, you know, he came and went all hours of the night, and that was just the way life was. But I do have this vivid memory, and I think back now that probably it was him leaving to go to the hospital or something of that nature. But I was sure as I laid in my bed that Santa was downstairs and opened the basement door and was going down to the tree in the basement. I was so convinced, and I could hardly go back to sleep, and I knew I couldn't get out of bed because then I'd be in trouble. And the next day I went and looked, and there weren't extra presents down there. And I remember this sinking disappointment. And I finally shared this story and, you know, kind of got a doty lecture from my mom. And she said, well, sweetie, it's okay because if he'd left extra presents here, there wouldn't have been someone at someone else's house.
Absolutely.
So there went the guilt, and I gave it no other thought. And I do have another memory of these goofy snowball candles, and we would bring them out every year. And you can imagine they got pretty grungy looking over the year, but we'd only burn them, you know, on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And I remember one year she even spray painted them to try to freshen them up. And I'm like, well, you know, product of the Depression, waste not, want not. That's for
right.
doggone sure. But I remember vividly those funny candles and some of the little figurines. You still can see them sometimes in junk shops and antique shops for ridiculous prices. But they were like little people, whether it was Santa or a choir girl. And I remember those because we'd have those lined up, and it was a big treat if you got to get one that year. So those are just random, silly things, and just driving around and seeing lights. Still totally love that. So thank all of you that put lights out for the rest of us to enjoy.
Absolutely. When we were little, there was Santa would always come to Shelbyville to a certain house. Ooh. And he had a sleigh and his reindeer were out front. And it was only, I think, a couple nights a year that this would happen. But that is one thing we always looked forward to because he was there for a short time. You got to go visit, and we always got to do that. So
that's fun.
Yeah.
We happened to travel down to French Lick, very beautiful place this time of year. And, of course, there are lots of little children right now because they do this Polar Express.
Yes.
And crazy numbers of people there. But the most fun is just walking around, and you see these young families. And one of my favorites this time was there in the hallway in the French Lick Resort. It looked as though it was the front of the barn with some of the reindeer names, and there were reindeer standing out front These were not live because they were inside. And I would guess this was about a 3 or 3.5 year old, and they're all dressed in their jammies. They're cute as they can be, and she runs with unabashed glee, and looks over her shoulder. Mommy, it's the reindeer. And she's so excited, and she just goes up and gives a hug, and then starts petting him and talking to each reindeer about, will you come to my house? I mean, it was the cute.
I love that.
It could have been in a movie.
It was
so doggone cute.
It was the perfect moment.
Very fun, very fun. But it was beautiful. The lights were beautiful. The music was great. You know, it just gets you in the mood.
Gets you in the spirit, doesn't it?
Absolutely right.
Well, Sarah, we wish you and your family a very Merry
you.
Christmas, a Happy New Year as we look forward to 26. And
I'm ready for a fresh new year.
That's right. It's time. That's
Yeah.
right. And we will see you back in
January. And then we will start talking about new things for 2026. We'll talk about the new plants of the year and all those sorts of things.
All right, Sarah. Thanks so much.
All
we'll
right.
see you next
See
year.
y'all. Ha! Yeah.